All right. Hello, everybody. I'm very excited to be doing another webinar with everybody. I took last week off, but we're back here again this week, and then next week we will also be doing another webinar. So welcome, everybody. I'm Mackenzie Brown, Tante Natotamak, Kamamak Nitsigasan, and I'm from Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation, but I make Edmonton my home, where I am the project manager with Indigenous Tourism Alberta. I'm very excited to be bringing another webinar for you guys on building a strong tourism website. This is a topic that I'm pretty passionate about. I run the website that we have with my mother's tourism business, and then I've helped design a couple other websites for specifically tourism businesses, but really excited to be chatting about that today. And if you haven't noticed, we have a new look for our PowerPoint, so really excited to showcase that as well with Indigenous Tourism Alberta. So without further ado, I'm going to get started here. So once again, the presenter today is myself. My name is Mackenzie Brown. I'm the project manager with Indigenous Tourism Alberta. So I work in terms of development. I work in terms of community development, and a couple other things. And I am the face for our members as well. So I'm always chatting with our members to see what we can do at Indigenous Tourism Alberta, how we can better help everybody out. So today we have three different objectives. So the first objective is I'm going to help our participants today understand why having a strong website is important. We really live in a digital age today, and especially with COVID, everybody's meeting virtually online all the time. So we're going to chat a little bit about why websites are so important to the tourism industry. From there, we're going to go into how to create a website. This is actually it can be a tricky process for a lot of people. It's not just bringing up a website builder, creating your website, boom, you're done. So we're going to go through 4 easy steps on how to create a website. And then we're going to go into my top 10 tips on creating a really strong tourism website, because there is a difference between having a good website and then having a good tourism specific website. So without further ado, we will get into it. So first off, why is it important? Why is it important to have a strong website? Why is it important to have a website in general? We see that there is more than 50% of all bookings are now done online. There's a huge online presence for tourism. People really like to have the control that they can sit down with their phone, with their computer, and that they can search what is available to them overseas. Another really important aspect of websites comes down to the universality of the internet. We have international travelers in Europe, in Australia, down in the States. We have the internet kind of everywhere. And so no matter where you're living and where you want to travel to, you can find information for your trip on the internet. And many people will plan their trips ahead of time. And so it's really important that you have some kind of online presence, specifically a website, so that you can be found when people are predetermining their activities, what they want to do when they come to Canada and specifically Alberta. Websites are also really important because they are a place to house information. It is a quick one-stop shop to find out who you are, where you are, what you do. And then any other information that you want, you can house that all on your website. Websites are also important because they increase traffic and the awareness of your business. The amount of people who, I'm an artist, the amount of people who have found me just by Googling Indigenous art in Alberta, that has really increased my sales as an artist. It's helped with tourism businesses, anything like that. Sometimes you stumble on hidden gems on the internet. And so having a website is a really, really great way, an important way to increase the traffic and the awareness of your business. One of the reasons as well why a website is really important is because it is a travel trade requirement. So if you are trying to get into being market ready and export ready, having a tourism website is actually a requirement for the industry. So if you don't have a website, you can't get into working with, you know, travel agencies, those receptive tour operators, working with travel trade being sold internationally. So that's really why as well having a website is important. And then finally, it proves the legitimacy of your business. A lot of people are a little bit skeptical to book with somebody who doesn't have a website because they can't find out information about it. They can't look at reviews about your experience. So having a website really proves to travelers, both domestic and international, that you are a legit business, that you are a legit tourism business, and that these are the things that you offer and how you can book them. So now that I've convinced you to create a website, we're going to go into, here, never mind. So I have a slide on why do people like looking at websites as well. People love searching online because they can do their research on their own time. You know, it's been found that a lot of bookings, a lot of online shopping is done at lunchtime or right before bed. You know, when you're laying in your bed and you have your phone and you just happen to stumble upon a great online shopping place, and then you end up buying something. So it's really great to give people the ability to do the research on their own. People also really like websites because people like to look at a website, think about it, think about the experience, and then come back afterwards. So websites are a really easy way of doing that. People can just keep the tab open and then eventually go back to it. It's also incredibly convenient. And we find that in tourism, in sales, in marketing, convenience is key. The easier that you can make it for somebody to book your experience or to find out information about you, the more likely they are to continue on and create business with you. And then finally, it gives that customer the control. They feel like they have control over their trip. They have control over their trip planning. And websites all help create that control for our customer. So now we're going to get into building a website. So in this, I have 4 easy steps for you to create a website. And this is a website in general. This part isn't tourism specific. We'll get to the top 10 tips, but this is how do you create a website in general. So step number 1, registering a domain name. So what is a domain name? When you go to our website, for example, you type in www.indgenoustourisamalberta.ca. That is our domain name, that indgenoustourisamalberta.ca. Your domain name should be like your business name. So for example, we are called Indigenous Tourism Alberta, and so our website domain name is indgenoustourisamalberta.ca. It's also really important to register your domain name and to own your domain name. The reason why is because it looks more professional than having your site on somebody else's domain. So you can have, for example, www.wordpress.ca/Indigenous Tourism Alberta. You can have that, but it does at the end of the day look more professional if your domain name is your business's name and that it is registered. And then you can purchase your domain name through a couple different accredited hosting providers, and it's very, very easy. So here I have a list of some hosting providers that I've worked with and that I have many clients and many of our operators work with as well. So most hosting providers, they can offer either domains for free for 1 year, and then usually about $15 the year after. What some people do as well is they will buy a couple domains. So for example, we might buy Indigenous Tourism Alberta. We might also buy Indigenous Tourism, and then maybe Indigenous Travel Alberta, because then that way, if somebody Googles those, then it automatically filters to indigenoustourismalberta.ca. So we see that some people will purchase a couple different domain names. So again, it's pretty cheap to purchase a domain name. It's usually about $15 per year, and these are some really good places where you can purchase a domain name. Sometimes the domain name that you want is already purchased. Don't worry, it's not a big thing. We always recommend that people try to go with .ca or .com. .ca does prove that you are most likely a Canadian company, and .com is also, it's just they're the most common. So you can see I pulled from a couple of our members who have their own domain, and so that you can see what it looks like. So Mohican Trails, for example, one of our members, they are down in Canmore and provide plant walks along with a couple other different things that they do. You can see that theirs is Mohegan.ca. So it's very easy. You're looking for Mohican Trails, you type in Mohegan, and that is what will come up right away. Step number 2. So now you have your registered domain name, you own it. Now we're going to get into website hosting. So in order to have your website visible on the internet, you have to have a web hosting. Web hosting takes your domain name. It can set up an email for you as well. So for example, my email is info@indigenoustourismalberta.ca. So it can set up an email for you from your domain name. And then this means that it takes your domain name and it hosts it on the internet so that your website, when you start to create it, can be found. So you do need web hosting. We have a couple monthly fees for web hosting. They vary on the size of the website, the complexity of the website. You can get pretty easy website hosters that are pretty cheap. And so I really recommend HostGator is really great. You can see Wix. You can also see GoDaddy. We have a couple different members who work with all three of these, including myself. I have a website myself where I have utilized GoDaddy as a web hoster. So again, without web hosting and a domain name, your website won't exist. Note as well that there are some websites where you can purchase your domain, they host your site, and they have website builders included. So we will touch on some of these. I believe GoDaddy, for example, you can purchase your domain and they will host your site. They won't build it though. They don't have website builders. We see as well as HostGator. You can purchase your domain, you can host your site with HostGator as well. So number 3 is preparing your content. So before you even get to building your website, it is very important to take out a pen, take out a piece of paper, and prepare your content first. Write down everything that you can think about your business. Write down, what do you do? What is your experience? How long is your experience? How does somebody go to book? Where do you meet when somebody's about to do your experience? What is the history of your business? What is the history of you? Put together some images that visitors would like to see, some cool content, and put that all into a document. Because from there, you will be able to then plop things into your website really easily, and you won't be thinking, oh, I didn't prepare this content, what do I want to have? This is also a really good way of putting things together and then looking and saying, oh, this is a bit of a jumbled mess. let's get rid of this, let's rewrite this. It's just an easier way to go about building your website once you have the content already prepared. So again, what I usually do is just create a Word document and start plugging in anything and everything that you can think about your business, and then you can start plopping it in when you get to step number 4. And step number 4 is, of course, creating your website. So there are many website templates available online, and they're super easy. You can use them to create your website. So a very common one that people know is WordPress. So WordPress will also host your website, which you know that you need to do. And then they will also give you a bunch of templates that you can, where you can easily create a website. So a really important thing to remember is that websites need to be kept up to date. It is quite common that you will find a website and you'll go and the last time it was updated was in 2015. So then the information is not relevant anymore. I do recommend that every single month you go to your website, you just scroll through it, you click as if you were a visitor, and make sure that all of the information is up to date and that it is relevant. If you're new to online business, it is helpful to hire a web designer. Web designers, they will usually help you get your domain, get your web hosting, and then create the overall look of it as well. They can run you through easy steps of maintenance. You know, they can be really good, and you can find some really fantastic web designers all across Alberta that will really be able to help you out. I know when I was creating my artist page, I got one of my really good friends to design my website because it's something that he's done a couple times, and so I found that that was very helpful. So there are people that can help you create a really good, solid website. All right. So those were the 4 steps on how to create a website. So now we're going to go into 10 tips for a strong tourism website. So when you're creating your website, you'll want to have these tips in mind to make sure that you have a very strong website that does what you want it to do, that works for your visitors and your potential new visitors. So my first tip for you, you want to have a strong landing page. What is a landing page? A landing page is when you Google Indigenous Tourism Alberta, you click on the link, it's the first thing you see. It's so important to have a strong landing page because we find that online shoppers, people online, their attention span is actually usually 30 seconds, maybe a minute at most. And so if they're not caught right away on your landing page, they're swiping out. So making sure that you have a really flashy, fun landing page, use a really great picture. Let's say I always get complimented on my fantastic background of the Chiniki Cultural Center. If you have an experience like that, use a gorgeous photo like that. If you are a drummer, start off with a big drum. If you do amazing hikes in the Rocky Mountains, have a beautiful photo of the Rocky Mountains. Have a really awesome photo that people will think, wow, I want to go there. I want to see that. Of course, make sure that the photo is relevant. If you don't do hiking in the Rockies, don't put a hiking in the Rockies photo because that does confuse customers, and then they're more likely to be disappointed with your experience because they had preconceived notions prior just from what was on your website. And also write an engaging text. Write something like, come explore. Write something, your adventure awaits. Your adventure starts here. Something to really draw people in. A really great landing page is from Joe Urey with Jasper Tour Company. He is one of our members, and you can see he has both Indigenous Tourism Association Canada, TripAdvisor, and Indigenous Tourism Alberta. He has his He has his partners on there. You can see he owns his domain name. It says jaspertourcompany.com. And when you first click on his website, this is what you see. It says adventure has a new name, the Jasper Tour Company. Then you see this gorgeous photo of the Rocky Mountains in Jasper, which is where Joe Urey provides his tours. So this is an example of a really strong landing page. It makes you want to think, oh, this sounds like a really adventurous place that I want to go. This looks like a place that I want to go. Oh, he has these partnerships with these other great organizations. Fantastic. Let's start clicking into it. My second tip is providing vital information. You want people to be able to go to your website and find out in 30 seconds or less, what is your business? What do you provide? Where can they book? This is super important to be able to do. And you want to make sure that your information, again, is relevant and that people can figure all of this stuff out within 30 seconds or less. I'm going to see if I can bring you guys up to this link. I have a link to Talking Rock Tours. He is also one of our members. His landing page and website is really great as well. So first it starts off, you come into it, you see kayaking. Wow, you see some stars, you see hiking, you see all of these different things and you think, okay, so these are all things that I could do. We go to destinations. These are all of the destinations where he operates. Oh, these are all the activities that he does. Oh, and even a price range. So then I can fill that all in. I can discover my tour. The more that I scroll down in his page, and already it's been about 15 seconds. Oh, I see the land. And then I get here and I see Geo Adventure. Okay, so I know that he's probably something that does geological adventures. Oh, and look, some other people have done the adventures with him, said that he was knowledgeable and he was kind. He knows lots about Indigenous culture. Okay, there's going to be some aspect of Indigenous culture. So then again, in this short amount of time, you can see that I've gathered all of this information, not even by leaving the landing page. So that's really important to be able to have that vital information right off the bat. My third tip is include reservation or booking programs. So if you are utilizing a booking platform, and if not, we will be having a webinar in a couple weeks on booking platforms and how you can sign up for one. If you have a booking platform, it's really important to make sure that that is right away where you can go. That it's easy to find, that people can click on it right away. If you don't have a booking platform, still include a book now link and then just link it to your contact information where people can send you an email. It's super easy. People really like to have that button where they can click, oh, book now, boom, contact information. Okay, I send them an email. Or boom, now it goes to your booking platform where they can book right then and there. Make sure that you have that kind of a link. So we again see Jasper Tour Company right on the first page. They have this big book now button. Then we also see Warrior Women as well. You see there's a book now button here. And then there's also, oh, to book your experiences, go to book online. Okay, book online. And then, so then you know where you can book right away. And this is right on the landing page. We are open, we're doing fireside chats. Oh, plant walks. Okay, great. So now I know what's available. I can book now right away. Tip number 5, I think, design a contact us section. Now, you don't have to, and I don't recommend putting your email on your website. recommend using a contact form, but there should be a way that people can contact you, whether it's an email, a phone number, or a contact form, so that then you're not getting spam, and you can filter it out really easily, but people can still contact you. It's really important for people to be able to contact you. Most likely people will have questions. People like to call ahead of time to chat, again, proving the legitimacy of your business. And people might have questions. Maybe they want a customized tour. Maybe they're asking for some other recommendations, some different things that they can do. So it is important to have a contact us section in your website. Photos and videos. This is another top tip. It is so important to have good videos. You want to have good photos. You want to have photos that are at least 1 megabyte big. And the reason for that is so that you don't get grainy photos on your website. It makes it look very professional. And two, people really want to see what they're going to be doing. You know, we've seen a huge change in the travel industry since Instagram and Facebook became popular, because people can actually see what they could experience. So it's really important to have great photos, and great photos of people in them. We always say faces, not places. It's really important to have a face over a place. So if you're doing a tour in the Badlands, make sure that you have somebody in there, right? So that it's not just this beautiful photo of the Badlands, but you can show, this is somebody who was on our tour. This is exactly what they saw. People really like to do that. Again, make sure that your photos are true to what your experience and offerings are. We've had in the past that people have used some really beautiful photos or some videos from one-off experiences that are kind of like private experiences, and tourists will get there, both domestic and international, and they'll say, well, no, I want what is on your website. I want that experience. And then you say, oh, that's a customizable experience. That was a one-off thing. So always make sure that what the visitor will get is what is shown on your website. Mobile compatibility. So most people book on their phones now. Phones are very convenient. They're very easy. What it means to have a mobile compatibility website means that the website will format to the phone. So most website builders and web hosters now have this, but it's really important to make sure that they do. Or else then what happens is you grab your phone, you go to the website, and then you usually have to really zoom out, and then everything's tiny. You have to zoom in to like click. It's just, whereas if something is mobile compatible, you go to the website, you can immediately scroll and view it with ease. So it's really important to make sure that you have mobile compatibility. Another tip, integrating your social media. Websites can only tell so much. You can have a gallery on your website, but lots of times people will like to go to your social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then really see some other great content, and see what they can experience. Let's say you did a cool TED Talks video. That might be something that you want to include on your YouTube. Or let's say you were featured in a really great documentary. You'll want to just make a little tiny like YouTube sign so that somebody can click it, they can go to your YouTube. Same with your Facebook, same with your Instagram. Social media is really a good way of getting out more information about your experience. So make sure that you are linking those into your social media, linking those into your website. Most websites you'll go on, and at the bottom of the page, they'll have the little icons for Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of the other ones. Then you can click and it directly links them to that. So make sure to have that as well. My next tip for you is keywords. Make sure to use keywords that a visitor might Google if they are looking for an experience like yours while traveling. This is called search engine optimization. So this means if somebody went to YouTube and they Googled Indigenous experience in Alberta, somewhere on your website, you want to be listing Indigenous experience Alberta, because then that means that your website is more likely to pop up, even if they didn't type precisely your website's name. So make sure to have those kind of keywords. Think like an international traveler, think like a domestic traveler. What would you Google if you were going overseas and you wanted a great culinary experience, right? And so then if you are a culinary provider, making a culinary website, make sure to include those kind of keywords. Same with let's say you do hiking, make sure to include that keyword. Let's say you do drumming, make sure to include that keyword. And then try to switch up the words as well. If you're using the same word over and over and over again, that also will lower your SEO. Most websites, most website builders, if you end up hiring a website designer, they will know how to increase your SEO as well. There are, I believe there are some businesses out there that can do an audit of your website to help you increase your search engine optimization. As well, the more you update your website, the more likely it is to show up on Google, on Yahoo, on Bing, on whatever search engine people are using. So always make sure, again, to update your information. This is an important tip. There is such thing as too much on a website. Make sure to keep your design clean. Sometimes people will get overwhelmed by the amount of information provided to them on a website. We find adult learners, they want to know, why is something important? What is it? You just want to give them enough information to entice them to book your experience. So to keep your design clean, avoid clutter. You don't need a million photos. You don't need a collage. You need, I would say, 5 great photos somewhere on your website. Avoid too much information as well. Only provide the information that is necessary, and then paraphrase, paraphrase, paraphrase. You know how I was talking about how lots of people go on their cellular device to book? If your website has a ton of information, what might show up nice on a computer screen will involve a lot of scrolling when you're on your phone. So always make sure to paraphrase your information so that it is, again, that 30 seconds or less. Who are you? What do you do? How do I book it? That's what you need. And then my last tip for you is think about your target market. We always talk in tourism, what is your target market? What is your target market? Think about your target market. This will really help you create your website. Let's say you are a Indigenous owned spa and you cater to an older demographic, no hassle traveler. Now think about, okay, what would really appeal to that kind of traveler if they were to come to a website? Oh, well, probably no photos of kids, probably something with a lovely atmosphere, a photo of the bath so you can get a photo of the massage that you can get, a photo, like a website that seems very quiet and that makes them feel relaxed. That's how you design your website. If you are looking for those adventurers who love hiking, who love being outdoors, then that's how you create your website, with those spunky different things. Also, it's really important that if you cater to an international audience, maybe have a section in your website that showcases currency exchanges. or that your website's really easy to translate. Most websites will translate pretty easily, but if you're showcasing to international, make sure to have that as well. So just as a recap of the 10 tips that I recommend, we have having a strong landing page, having vital and relevant information, linking to your reservation system, booking system, contact page, having a contact page, having strong, awesome photos, faces not places, mobile compatibility, links to your social media, strong keywords. Then I'm forgetting one, and that is think about your target audience. Always have your target audience in mind. All right, so we have gotten to that portion where we get to ask some questions. So if I have anybody who wants to ask some questions, feel free to type it in the chat box. I know for myself, a lot of questions that I've gotten asked, again, is how do you create a website? And then websites also will differ. Let's say you have an online store. There are options of putting an online store in there. There are ways of putting multiple services in there. It's just, I always recommend to people, again, take out a piece of paper, write down what your business provides, and then look at how to easily and the most effectively showcase that through a website. You don't want somebody to have to click through a million different things. You want to create those topics and then have everything based out after. So always write down your information first. So I don't see that I have any questions, so I'm going to close it down for the day. Thank you guys all very much for taking part in this webinar. I hope that it's been really insightful for you and that it helps you out with some information. We will be having a webinar again next week, and so it is the 27th, so I guess in September already we will be having the next webinar. So stay tuned for that. If you guys ever have any questions or concerns, you guys can reach out to Indigenous Tourism Alberta. Here's our website, again, indigenoustourisamalberta.ca. If you have any kind of emails, please feel free to reach me at info@indigenoustourisamalberta.ca. Kinanaskumtin, everybody. It's time to get on with the rest of our days, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day today. Take care.